If you needed something to show you that the Jaguars are going all in on the 2022 NFL season, Trevor Lawrence's sophomore year, the rookie year of Doug Peterson as the Jaguars head coach, I am very happy to tell you this was it. Doug Peterson, Trent Baalke went out and spent a ton of money today. Man, when I'm telling you, this is a complete 180 from what we saw in 2021 with Urban Meyer and Trent Baalke to now Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke. Complete 180. Doug and Trent busted out Shad Khan's checkbook, and they were just agreeing to terms left and right. When I tell you, it reminded me of the 2017 offseason when it was just high profile name after high profile name. These names aren't huge names. You're probably not going to recognize some of them. But when I tell you that they are major impact players that will be able to help this team and be able to make impacts probably day one. I think all 6 of these guys will be able to make impacts day one at their respective skill set. So starting off, a guy that I kind of wasn't too high on, I'd rather have gotten Laken Tomlinson. I thought he'd become a little bit cheaper, but at the end of the day, it's not my money. I don't care. And we got one of the best guards in the National Football League. We got right guard Brandon Sherf. The contract details are still unknown, but everyone is expecting this contract to absolutely break the bank. This is the only contract that details haven't really come out about yet. And in my opinion, he was the second best offensive lineman on the market. He was absolutely the best guard. He was an All-Pro in 2020. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler. The only problem is he does have injury concerns. Think Brandon Linder. When he's healthy, he's like a top 10 player at his position. But he's going to get hurt at some point, and you need to have that backup ability. And, whether or not they sign another guard throughout free agency, whether they think Ben Barch should be playing left guard or they like Barch is still the backup that he was last year. Both of those are good options. I would love to see Barch actually kick over to the left side. I think he played really well in 2021. But either way, Brandon Scherf is going to become a Jaguar, hopefully. They agreed to terms with them, and terms unknown still. So I guess we're going to find out coming here in the next couple days. But Foye Oluokun. I'm sorry, I'm probably going to butcher these names. I believe he's Nigerian. Don't really have a whole lot of experience with Nigerian names. I apologize. But 3 years, $45 million, give or take. This is a guy that I had no idea about. He was completely off my radar. And the second I searched his name into Google to find out some stuff about this guy, holy cow. This guy's actually like a baller. I love this guy. 192 combined tackles, I think 102 solo tackles in 2021. And he's an upgrade from Damian Wilson, who was the Mike last year. That's what he played in Atlanta. And honestly, one of the first things I saw was a couple Falcons beat writers were saying, when you look at the Falcons' impending free agents, he was the one they needed to sign in order to stay relevant. And that he was someone that they really, really, truly thought needed to be re-signed. And he escapes, he becomes a Jaguar, and I could not be more excited to see him play Mike. I think opposite of Miles Jack is going to be a lot of fun, allowing Miles to fly around the field. Almost, I want to think about just kind of the way he did with when Puz was here. I'd love to see Miles Jack get back to those roots. Now, here we go. We got another fun name. Folu Runso Fatukasi. I'm hoping I'm saying these names right. Signed another pretty decent deal. He's a hell of an interior lineman. Signed for 3 years, $30 million. Obviously, there's probably going to be a little working with the money there. But like I said, incredible rotational piece on the inside for this defense. He gets incredible interior pressure, and he's also a huge just space-eating run stuffer. He joins a front seven that really didn't have a whole lot going for him. They were decent. They were quality against the run, but they ranked 23 in rushing yards allowed and then 29th in rushing touchdowns allowed. So obviously that is a position group that needed to be upgraded, and I'm hoping in the coming days they will be able to sign a pass rusher to go along with the run-stuffing lineman that they got and the run-stuffing linebacker that they got. I would love to see, maybe a Chandler Jones. He's still on the market. Hey, you never know. They still got some money to play with, too, believe it or not. They signed 6 dudes on day one. Agreed to terms with 6 dudes on day one, and they still have money to spend. We're still talking about names like Allen Robinson. We're still talking about names like Chandler Jones. Isn't that wild? The complete 180. I'm still in awe that Trent Baalke is doing this. I don't know if it's Doug. I don't know if it's Trent. I don't know. I don't know if Shad's calling these agents. But holy cow, it is working, and whatever button they're hitting, keep hitting it. That's all I got to say. Christian Kirk is the wide receiver, the big name wide receiver that a lot of people were expecting them to sign. When the initial numbers of this deal came out, a lot of people were kind of in a tailspin. They really didn't know what was going on. Jaguars Twitter was fighting with each other, and because it was 4 years, up to $84 million. The contract details have come out, and this is honestly a 2-year deal. If the Jaguars wanted it to be, it could be a 2-year deal. They almost all of the guaranteed money is in the first 2 years of this contract, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But the Jaguars needed to make a big splash signing with a wide receiver that was on the market, and that was what they did. They couldn't have gone into day one and even day two without having a big name wide receiver. You couldn't have signed Juju and said, this is our big signing. You couldn't have signed Braxton Berrios and said, this is our big signing. In my opinion, you needed to either get Christian Kirk or Allen Robinson, and they got Kirk. Kirk fixes the problem that the Jaguars have. The Jaguars have a catching the ball problem. Christian Kirk does not have a catching the ball problem. Averaged 65, just over 65% completion percentage in his career. And in a Hayes Carline tweet, if he had played his whole career in Jacksonville to this point, he would be the 4th all-time in total yards for a wide receiver. Let that in. He's a young wide, I believe he's 25, and he would be the 4th best all-time. That's just atrocious, and that's sad. That, the Jaguars are at this point where someone that a lot of people have been calling a slot wide receiver would be the 4th best. But hey, I'm glad to have him in Jacksonville, and there's going to be a lot of upside for him being in Jacksonville. So let's jump over to another wide receiver that the Jaguars signed, Zay Jones. Man, when you want to talk about a change of scenery, completely changing how a player plays and his performance, that is Zay Jones. When he was in Buffalo, he had a 46% completion percentage. He goes to Vegas. That almost 70%, a 69.2. My goodness. Last couple of years, he's been hovering around over 11 yards per catch. He's an incredible depth add to this Jaguars wide receiver room. He's super explosive, and he's going to add a lot of excitement to a lackluster offense because the Jaguars really don't have a whole lot of wide receivers under contract still. They have Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones, and Jamal Agnew, if you want to consider Jamal Agnew still as a wide receiver. Those are the 3 they have. So when you look at the signings that are going to be coming in the coming days, maybe they do re-sign Treadwell. I don't think they're going to re-sign Austin. And there's not a whole lot to look at for Jaguars wide receivers. I think Zay Jones is an incredible add. He has incredible hands since leaving Buffalo, and I couldn't be more excited for Zay Jones. Now, I didn't think they were going to go out and sign a tight end. I didn't see it in the cards for him, but they did. They went out and signed Evan Ingram. Now, Evan Ingram's for me is, I want to be excited about him. I want to be excited about all of these signings, but Evan Ingram does not get me excited. I think of him just like I thought of Tyler Eifert, like I think of Jeff Swaim. They're just 1-year deals where if they work out, they work out. If they don't, it's a 1-year deal. I don't care. It's, he was a Pro Bowler, but, man, I struggle to get excited about Evan Ingram, unfortunately. He is an upgrade over someone like James O'Shaughnessy, but he still has the injury concerns of a James O'Shaughnessy. But on the bright side, he's caught over 150 more catches, 1,800 more yards, and 13 more touchdowns. He's absolutely an upgrade over O'Shaughnessy, but he was absolutely going to be second fiddle to Dan Arnold, who I still think is going to be the tight end number 1 when you go into week 1 of the NFL season, unless they get someone like Isaiah Likely. But right now, Evan Ingram is tight end number 2, potentially tight end 3, with how you look at Chris Manhertz. But those are the 6 guys that Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson were able to bring to Jacksonville and agree to terms to come to Jacksonville on the opening day of free agency. It was a hell of a day. They started off fresh and early with the Sherf announcement, and it's been going all night. It's 9 o'clock here on the West Coast, and names are still being thrown out. Shefty and Rappaport and Pelissaro, they're all still getting their money in because they are working, and they're still getting texted calls about NFL players. But we wanted signings. We wanted agree to terms, and that is what we got. I don't think any Jaguar fan, the most optimistic and excited and happy-go-lucky Jaguar fan you can find, expected a day like today. It was an incredible day if you were a Jaguars fan to just see, hopefully, the turning of a page and starting the Trevor Lawrence era the way it should have been started, with going full steam ahead at free agents, and you're plugging holes, you're getting key players and key positions and really ready to get this ball rolling correctly. So I just really wanted to commend the Jaguars front office for the work they did today, because they worked their ass off. They opened Shad's wallet and money started flying out left and right. So thank you, Shad Khan, for being able to spend this money. Trent Baalke, we'll work on our relationship as we go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe and go Jaguars.
How about them Jags?